So this is the second video then on solving quadratic equations using the minus b formula, and I'm going to do another example in this video, slightly trickier one but not that much trickier, and then I'll give you a couple more to practice for homework. So in the last lesson we learned that we have this minus b formula, we have this minus b formula, which is x equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And remember that b squared minus 4ac is all underneath that square root sign. So you just have to be really careful when you're typing it into your calculator. And this minus b formula is used to solve quadratic equations. So an example of a quadratic equation would be 2x squared plus x minus 5. And what we said last lesson was that all quadratic equations are given in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And this is the format that we learned for quadratic equations when we met them last year for the first time. So the first thing that we do in these questions is we figure out what's our value of a, what's our value of b, and what's our value of c. A in this case will be the number in front of the x squared, which is 2. B will be the number in front of the x. Now there's no number in front of the x there, but we could just put a 1 there, so b will be equal to 1. And c will be equal to our constant, which is minus 5. And you have to be really careful to include that minus sign. Once we've done that, we have half the question kind of done really. We just have to insert these numbers into our formula. Now because this little bit here, the b squared minus 4ac can be tricky, some people like to do that separately. So I'm going to do it separately out here as well. So b squared minus 4ac will be, well, b is 1, so 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 5. And this is where people make mistakes. People write 5 there instead of minus 5. So you need to be really careful with your signs. So 1 squared is 1. Now we've 3 numbers here to be multiplied by each other, but this is a minus 4 multiplied by a plus 2. So what I suggest you do is do it bit by bit. So let's simplify the minus 4 multiplied by the plus 2 first, and that will give us minus 8, which is being multiplied by minus 5. And that's going to be a minus 8 times a minus 5 is a plus 40. So that gives us 41. Now that's just a side part of the question really. We're just simplifying it by doing that little bit at the side. So we'll write out our full equation again down here. X equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we'll fill in our values. So minus b would be minus 1 plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac. We've solved that bit already and we've got 41 all over 2 times a. So we'll go back up and see what a was. A was 2. So that's the same as minus 1 plus or minus square root of 41 all over 4. So for quadratic equations we always have 2 answers. So that's where this plus or minus bit comes in. So once we get down to this stage, we can split it into 2 separate equations. We can say that x equals minus 1 plus square root 41 all over 4, or x equals minus 1 minus square root of 41 all over 4. And in the question what it'll generally do to you is it'll say give your answer correct to 1 decimal place or 2 decimal places. So when we type this first bit into our calculator, we'll get x equals 1.35. So to 1 decimal place, that's x equals 1.4. That's one answer. And for the second one, we'll get x equals minus 1.85. But to 1 decimal place, that'll be x equals minus 1.9. So that's our second answer.